In this lesson, we're going to look at some other video transitions that we could add to our productions just to make things more professional and kind of spice up the regular clips that we have. So we already learned about some basic things using the shapes and the mask, but in this lesson, we're going to look at some other techniques that we could use to make transitions for our video. So let's create a new composition. Transitions. Going to import the clips. So basically we have 6 videos and we're going to just bring them all in. So it's going to be 3 transitions with 6 videos. And I'm going to start with something that's pretty easy. So I have this clip. All right, I'm just going to rename these so it's easier. Let's call this sunset. We also had another video that is also sunset. And just naming your clips will allow you to be more organized when you're editing your clips. So let's start with the easy one. I'm going to get the 2 bird videos and just drag them in my composition. I'm going to go on the second one and just go to transform, right click, then transform, fit to comp. And so this is going to be lady with bird. I'm going to turn off the audio for this video. So we have 2 videos, and what we're going to do is to maybe kind of give a rotation transition. It's really simple. All we have to do is to just kind of separate the 2 clips and leave an area for where we want the transition to happen. So instead of rotation, I thought we could do scale. It's easier. Just go over here. So we're going to place them like this. So after the first one ends, the second one begins, although I did it the opposite direction. Bring it here. Let's cut the first video to maybe 10 seconds. Then bring this guy in and just close the composition. Alright, so around a few seconds back before the video finishes, gonna zoom in the timeline so I can see the times. You can go at 9 seconds, so 1 second before the video ends, or 2, depends on what you want. I'm going to turn on the scale. It's going to create a keyframe. I'm going to go on the first video, hit S, turn on the scale and also the visibility so we can see the video. Hit fit, and then we're going to come in here at the end of the first video and we're going to just scale this quite a lot. Let's go for like, if the second one's 100, then we want to go really in. So 150. And I'm just going to change the first rotation, this first scale into 102. It's in 100, so they're even. Come in on the second video. Now we're going to start from 150 for the second video. Turn on the scale keyframe. And then move it 1 second forward. Then just turn it back to 100. You just zoom in to see if I am on the right time. Just going to get my time indicator to place this exactly at 1 second. All right. Grab all the keyframes and we're going to go to keyframe assistant. We're going to go for easy ease in, which is just F9 and shift. I forgot the shortcuts. Zoom out, and this is basically what we have. It's going to render. So what we have right now is our first clip suddenly zooming in, and then we have our second clip, which starts right after the first one finishes. Zoom out, it's zoomed in, and it's going to zoom out. So this is what we have. It zooms in. It's really slow though. We gotta kind of make things faster. Let's zoom out. come in around half a second. 1 second is too much, and just drag this guy here. Same thing for the other video. Again, 9:15. I'm going to make sure it is the keyframes are set in a similar manner. This guy needs to start from here. I'm going to come to 10 seconds here and just reposition my keyframes until I have an even situation. Alright. Let this load again. Alright, so it's going to come in a bit slow. I'm going to again just bring that in closer. Alright, that's better. You could also go in a step further and use the graph editor for this, which is just this dude. Let me, it is already on fit. Just zoom out of my composition. Alright, and then we're going to go on the first video. We have this shape here, graph editor. Just go on that, click on scale, and we have this thing right here. So we need to just kind of bring it down. Let me see how that looks. So you saw that we kind of made it suddenly go in compared to what it was before. I'm going to go in this second video, hit scale on that, and we're just going to do the opposite. So this is what it is normally. You can see it's slowly making its way up, but we wanted to kind of do this faster. So just grab the middle and just drag it down like this. So it just suddenly goes up. That's exactly what we want. Click again to get out of the graph editor. Play that, and we have this cool effect. Add motion blur if you want to. Play that back. Now we have this cool style. And now if you did change your mind, you wanted things to be a little slower, you can always just add, kind of create space between the two keyframes. Let me move into the right a little bit. So this guy comes back to the 9:15 that we had originally, and this guy comes to 10:15. Alright, so I do like this. You see it looks kind of zooms out of frame at certain times. Let's play that again. So we can see the first video is kind of going out of frame. So instead of 100, maybe we could try zooming it in before this happens. You can just try that. So let's delete this guy, and instead of 100, we're going to go for 110. Alright, so it's zoomed in. Just go into graph editor and make sure it's okay. Let's do that again and see if we need to do more adjustments. And alright, so we need to go into graph editor for the bird. Go and scale, and you can see it goes down. We don't want that. Just want it to stay. There we are. So now it does not go out of frame. Bring that out. Let it render. So this was a really easy transition that you could do using the scale that we already know how to use, and just a few adjustments with the speed, and then we can create this cool scale effect like this. Alright, so this was the first transition, really simple. Let's move on to the next one. So I'm just going to delete these guys, hit backspace, and then I'm going to bring in, let's see, which one should we do first? Let's do this first, second. So I'm going to bring in these two videos. We're going to leave sunset for last. Going to see if I need to rescale. So the second video is in, just the first one. Right click, transform fit to comp. Let's rename this mountains. Right click, that was birds. Right, so what we're going to do for this is to get a shape and just kind of use it to kind of pan through the image from like below, and as it's going up, so is the second clip. So it's like dragging in the second clip for us. So again, we're going to, let me first cut the videos. Go for 10 seconds. Let's go for 5. Grab both clips, Control-Shift-D or Command-Shift-D, and delete the copies. Bring the bird video like this, so we have a space to work with. Kind of close this off, zoom in, so it fills my timeline. Alright, now let's go on top of the mountains, and we're going to get our shape. I'm going to get the rectangle tool, click away so I'm not making a mask layer. Let's choose white and no stroke. And we're just going to make like a thin rectangle. Then we're just going to drag this guy, zoom out a little, outside of our clip. And over here, where we want the transition to start, which would be around here, hit P on your keyboard on the shape layer, and then start the stopwatch. So this is where it's going to be first. Then come at the end of that transition area, and then just drag it upwards all the way until it's out of frame. Then we're going to just easy ease by selecting both and hitting F9 on our keyboards. So this is what we have right now. I'll let it render. Essentially, the shape is just coming up really slowly and making its way above our composition. Let's play that again with real-time speed. Again, if you stretch this out, it's going to be slower. If you bring them in, it's going to be faster. Alright, so now we want the first video to disappear as the sky is going up. So I'm going to go on the beginning, get my first video, get the rectangle. Now because I'm selecting this, it's a mask, so just grab the entire thing. Now we have mask 1. Open mask 1, and we're going to turn on the stopwatch for path. And then come to where the rectangle ends, and we're just simply going to move this guy. Hit V on your keyboard, and just move this guy just out of frame. You actually do that again, go to mask path. Mask path, Control T to move the mask itself. Just go up to where the video ends. Let's first see if it's moving along well. So we can see that the thing is a bit too slow. Gonna come here and then just keep going until I notice that the videos, okay, so it's going up too fast. That could be because it ends in the wrong place. I can see that my shape ends here, but the mask path isn't. All right. So we just got to kind of speed this up by bringing this guy in like so. Let's see if that helps. Okay, just a little bit of a delay. I'm going to come to the point where it is and just kind of slow things down. Maybe kind of make it faster. Alright, let's see if that's better. And there we are. So there's only this small part in the beginning. You kind of slow it down, or sorry, make it faster, so close in the space between them. Again, come to the point where it's kind of showing itself. And there we are. So try to get the shape, the mask layer within the shape. So that would mean that it would have to be shorter than the shape pan. Select both of them, F9, and let's play this back. And I can see it slipping out because of the F9. Just come out here. I guess we need to do that. So you can see the shape moves up with the video, and we have this cool transition. Now we need to add like some additional elements to just make the transition better, kind of more smooth. Hit M on mountains, shape 1. Alright, so let's play this back. It rendered. You can see that the shape slowly makes its way up, and then we have our second clip. So just to make things more smooth, we can add motion blur to the shape 1 layer. It's the 3 circle ones you see. So now we're going to have to let it render again. It's going to be a little bit blurred out as it's moving up. And again, if you want it to be faster, you can simply just close in the space between the 2 keyframes of the shape and the first video that you have, because remember, they're working together. The first video needs to be within that shape as it's moving up. As you saw that we adjusted the edge of it by closing in the space. Open mountain 1, and just to show you what I mean. So you can see the spaces are close, and this is the speed we're getting. But if you create space, like you drag this one and the one below, maybe here it's going to be really slow. If you bring the one and the one below, the second one for both of these layers over here, then it's going to be really fast. But I'm happy with this speed. And now we can continue with our third and final transition, which is going to be a little bit more advanced, but it's also a cool transition. So I'm going to grab all of these layers, just hit backspace to delete them. So for the final transition, we have these 2 sunset videos, and I'm just going to see if I need to scale both or just one. Okay. Select both, right click, transform, fit to comp for both of them, because we selected both. Hit fit, and let me see what this is. Okay, so I'm going to call this the name that it is. India Gate, and the second one, I think it was something with, something with balloons. Right click, call it balloons. Right. We're going to do a pan motion, but we're going to use an object or a part of the video itself. So right here, you can see we have a wall. We have a somewhat straight line, and I'm just going to zoom this out a little. So the wall is, well, I'm selecting the balloons layer, select the India Gate layer, just expand this until the top and bottom is kind of like taken by this guy. Hit R, and we're going to rotate it so it's somewhat straight. Control R to get the ruler, and then just on the rotation, just kind of go the other way. Doesn't have to be perfect, but we just want to kind of make it look -1. So what we're going to do, hit Control R again, what we're going to do is to just create a mask layer of this guy. And basically, because this video is moving, we play it, let it render at least. Basically, we have a moving object and it's covering the top and the bottom of our clip. So we're going to kind of make it look like this object, or in this case, the India Gate, is going to kind of show the other clip below it. So explaining it is a bit hard, we just gotta get into it. But if you wanted to do this yourself, just get a wall, a chair, or anything that's preferably straight. And then just kind of create a slow motion from the left to right or vice versa. And just make sure that your clip is stable. Either use a tripod or a gimbal to make sure you don't have shaky footage. So this rendered, so you can see we're slowly going from the right to the left. And once we mask this out, over here, our second video below it is going to show up. Alright, let's get into it. So we're going to, let me try to rescale this again. I think we lost a bit too much of the thing. Alright, this is better. I'm going to start masking from where I can see the other edge. Or just to make things easier, I'm going to go to the point where we see the other side, crop it out, and just drag this guy in here. I have to cut this short and get the other video. Actually, this has to be below it. We'll leave this be. So I'm going to go from the start of the clip. Alright, so we're going to go zoom in. And then hit edge to just move around to get to the top of your clip. And then we're going to get the pen tool, like so, and we're going to create a mask of this India Gate layer. So start from outside of your thing and just kind of outline the object that you have. Now you could do this with less perfect objects, as in objects that are not completely straight. So and hit G for the pen tool if you want a shortcut. Like you could take a person as well, but it will be a bit difficult because, well, straight lines are a lot easier to trace compared to, well, humans that are not exactly a straight line. So even in this scenario, we do have some cuts, but everything is sharp. So we can just make a few clicks and just go around the object that we have. And you could already imagine that this will take a lot more time if it was a person. So choose your video wisely. You're basically switching between G and edge. Edge for the hand tool to move around, and G for the pen tool to create more points. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. We're going to feather out the edges anyway. Just try to roughly get the outline of your object. And once you're done, zoom out and just close it off like this. Alright, so you can see the video underneath is showing up. But the thing is that this guy is moving. If you move in a few frames, remember that the clip is kind of panning from left to right, and you can see a few frames in, we're not getting the outline that we wanted. So go back from the beginning, and we're going to add a mask path. So I'm going to hit M on the India Gate, get my mask. We're going to open this up. First, we're going to feather out the edges like we said. 12 pixels. You can also expand the parts if you want. Basically, it just means you'll add to your selection, or you could remove it. For our case, we don't need to do this, but again, if you had maybe a person, a curtain, or anything that's not exactly perfect, you could definitely use this to remove or add more pixels to the selection. And then we're going to turn on mask path and then move in to the next frame. Let me hit this make it fit. Control right click, right arrow key, and we can see at this point is where it's starting to detach. So we're going to go on the selection tool, hit V. I'm gonna hit Control T on the mask and just hold down Shift to just kind of lightly move it to the right till we're not seeing the edge. So right now we made 2 keyframes. Again, Control right arrow key to move in even more frames. You can go in like a couple because it is moving in one direction anyway. Again, Control T to get or Command T to get the mask outline, and we're just going to drag it in closer to our clip. And there may be times where, for example, the top part is matching okay, but the bottom points need to be adjusted. We try that zoomed in, Control T again, and just bring it in closer, just a little bit more. All right, so I'm just going to go over and see if I need to work with each of the points. Like you see right here, these are all perfect except for the ones above. So I'm going to try to move it down. Sometimes it's just, it's not only up and down. So we have this tiny bit here. Just go on the mask. And I'm going to bring it down like this. Hit Edge, come down and just examine the rest of the guys. All right, again, Control right arrow key, move in a few frames. And let me just go from the beginning and make sure I didn't miss anything. Control right arrow key here, and you're moving in frame by frame. Sorry, 10 frames if you're holding down Control, but you're moving 1 frame if you're just using the arrow key alone. Alright, so I'm going to move in a couple more frames just to speed this up. And you basically need to do this until you finished your transition time. So it's not exactly as easy. Come up here. Okay, I know that I need to go down a little. Control T, hit V. Just move down the mask. Hit Edge. Come down. To move a little bit to the right. Right. Control right arrow key. And I'm just going to keep doing this until I've reached the end of my clip. And then I'll be back so we can continue with the additional adjustments that we need. And before I go, I just want to let you know that if you see up here, everything is perfectly placed. But you come down here and you see like there's some spots. So moving the entire mask selection up and down is not going to help you. In this case, you're going to just get the pen tool. So we're going to hit G on our keyboard. Then you can see we have the pen tool. And simply you can move each of these points to select your shape. So if you saw that the up and down, left and right option wasn't working out, you could always just come in here and get the pen tool to move each of the individual points. And then that way you'll have a more precise selection. Right, I'll be back once I finish the positioning. Alright, so I went, I guess, halfway in. And I stopped around here because our clip doesn't exactly end at the end. But let me just show you what we did by moving the mask path. So it's slowly moving out of frame. And you do notice that we do have some slip-ups, which you could simply change with some mask effects. You can see where the keyframes end. The mask just stays there. So that's why the less complicated the shape, the better. If it was like a wall, it would just be 2 lines. And it would be really easy to move it around. But I'm just going to go in the mask 1, open the properties, and go to mask expansion. And we're going to bring it to the negative. Let's try -10. See if I still have some slip-ups with the expansion. You could always add or remove. There was only that tiny frame. But yeah, there we are. So it was good. We also have the problem of our video kind of coming out from the top halfway. But you could just simply scale that in if that's a issue. Right, so this was another transition that we did. I'm gonna close this off. Maybe we could make it like fade out around here. So just hit T on that layer, 100%, and then at the end, we're gonna make it 0. So it's going to make its way to the right, and then it's just gonna fade out. I'm gonna have this guy. You don't have to do the fade out if your clip, first of all, it's stable at the top and bottom, and it also goes all the way to the end and then out of frame. That way you could just move the path until it reaches the end, and you don't have to kind of get rid of the video once you're done with it. But if you do have this issue with the video you took, you can just simply fade it out and it will still look cool. The main point of this transition was just the movement of the first video on top of the one below. So this is what we did. And it's going to move with the same speed as your video. So if you do want it to move faster, just speed up your clip and it's going to move faster because you make those keyframes in real time with the video. So those were just some simple, I guess a bit more advanced compared to the first video we did. So this is another 3 transition ideas that you could do with your clips to showcase your skills and to just have a more creative way of combining videos together. So I hope you guys enjoyed this lesson, and I will see you guys in the next one.